welcome back to my channel, and this is going to be, I guess, like the first official video in my Learn With Me Crystal series. I guess that might be what I'm calling it. We'll see. I know it's been a while since I put out the last video, but we've been dealing with a lot of sickness, and I'm just starting to get over. Well, I'm still sick, like, okay, so I didn't have the good tissue or anything, so all my whole nose area is like chafed and chapped, and it's a whole heap of hot mess, and so I don't have any makeup other than some brows and a lip color, which is not my typical lip color. It's my out of my comfort zone color, which I probably should have put on when I was a little bit healthier. But I said, screw it. I just wanted to see. I just wanted to wear it. You know, it's different. It's different. So, it actually came in a set that I have. So I was like, I don't wear purples. I wear, like, you know, burgundies or plums or like a purplish or dark whatever, but purple, straight purple, never want it. And since it came in a set, I said, might as well try it. But that's not what this video is about. So as I talked about in my previous video, I have decided to go back to basics, actually, on a great many things in my path, and I might do videos on that too. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, I don't know, like learn with me kind of thing, you know. So I may share what I'm learning, insights, blah blah blah, whatever. But for the purposes of this, I wanted to get back to basics as far as crystals go. I have certain crystals that I've worked with in the past, not like hardcore worked with, but I want to get more in depth with using crystals. And so I'm going to be going over different types of crystals and their properties and things like that. So I thought for this video, which would be, well, I guess I called the other one like an intro video. So I guess, no, I really want to call this an intro. I'm just going to briefly go over some of the things pertaining to crystals, like some of their uses. You can use crystals to anything from enhancing your magical practice, to working with your chakras, to overcoming certain things in your life, like addictions, you're having issues, sleep problems, say you want to learn astral projection. There are sorry, there are some crystals that will help you with astral projection. Crystals can also be used for color therapy as well. And I think when it comes to colors in crystals, I think I'm going to do something separate on that, so I'm not going to just go into that aspect. I'm thinking of maybe, I'm not sure, but maybe doing like separate videos also on like crystals and chakras and things like that, but whatever. You can there's just a variety of things that people would use crystals for, and you don't need to be, and I'm sure many of you already know this, but you don't need to be pagan to use crystals. When I first got into crystals, I was still Catholic. I would say I was a practicing Catholic, because at the time I was still going to church, so, because I was a teenager, and, you know, they made me. I would say that many different paths utilize crystals, whether it's like crystal magic or just attributes of the crystals. That's, yeah, let's not. But personally, I have used crystals when it came to ritual work. I would use a quartz point as my wand, as my instead of using a wand to direct energy, I use that quartz crystal point to direct energy. You can use crystals to help you manifest things, to manifest love, success, abundance, creativity, peace, happiness. You can do crystal grids, which I personally don't have much familiarity with. I have done a crystal grid or two way back when, but really in-depth detail, I don't know. So maybe that might be something I might explore too during the series. We'll see. But I would say if you're going to work with crystals, start out with one crystal and really get to know that crystal. If you're completely new to using crystals, I would really work with one crystal at a time. I would say I started out more as a collector of crystals, and I still do collect crystals. I love crystals. And initially, my first earlier years, I didn't work with them. I liked them, and I did learn about some properties of crystals then, but it was nothing like, I would sit or use them to enhance a practice or to help with creativity. If you're a writer, you can use crystals that correspond with creativity, that give off that energy. You can use that to help you if you have writer's block, or you might just be stuck, but not necessarily blocked, but you need a boost in that creativity. You have also, if you're meditating, you can use crystals to meditate, whether it's that you're holding it in your hand and you're just feeling the vibrations from the crystal. So let's say you're looking for like peace of mind, or to love or whatever. Maybe you might use a rose quartz, or sorry, you are meditating to connect to your highest self. Maybe you might use an amethyst. You can use a crystal to help focus your mind. Personally, I would say, and this is not based on research, this is my opinion, I would say probably a good crystal to use would be something like a black obsidian. Sorry. Maybe you need some movement, like a labradorite. Maybe you need movement happening. Maybe patterns, swirls, maybe like malachite. Whatever it is that your mind needs to help you attune. One thing I have learned is, yes, there are certain functions that you learn about crystals, certain ways you might learn to use them, but at the end of the day, it's what feels right to the user. So if you feel like meditating, I need something that I need to focus my mind on. My mind is everywhere. Like me, I have a hard time. I have a hard time meditating. But you need your mind to focus. You need to stare at something, perhaps. A malachite would be something good to stare at. There's all these patterns that you might focus on. Your mind might get lost in. Same thing for labradorite. Those flashes might, it could trigger you. Maybe you need a void, so anything black. Maybe you get a sphere, a sphere crystal, so like a black obsidian or something like that. Something that's like space, maybe even then a gold stone, a blue gold stone. It's like, to me, it's like a starry sky. You can also, and I do this, I use crystals in my practice with my deities. So I will have crystals that represent my deity, that are connected to my deity in some way. And I use them as offerings. And I do cleanse these crystals too. But I use them as offerings, along with other things like incense, or I might use food or drink. But typically, I use them as offerings. You can have them on your table, your altar, to represent male and female energies. You can have them around your home. You can have them on your tables or shelves around your homes, and to give off a certain energy. You want your home to feel love, peaceful. You might use a rose quartz. You need negative energies cleared. You might use citrine, selenite. Things like that. You have, a quartz is a clear quartz is like an all-purpose kind of like, almost like a. Well, I'm not gonna say all-purpose, but used to enhance. So maybe you want to amplify what is happening. So you might pair it with your rose quartz. You might pair it with amethyst. If you have, let's say you're doing divination, you have a divination table, amethyst would be great for that. You might pair, not rose quartz, I'm sorry, pair a clear quartz with that to enhance those energies. They're great with using as aids, as accompaniments with things. I am a very sensual person, so sounds, smells, things like that trigger things in me. They might trigger memories, emotions, heightened senses, and crystals do that too. Even just holding them in my hand while, doing whatever it is, whatever my task is, holding them in my hand, having them there to stare at, to focus on as a focal point. When working with crystals, and you'll find that you'll have some that say you need to cleanse and consecrate your crystals. Some that say, you just need to cleanse them, that you need to charge them. Some say you don't need to charge them. Some that you need to put your intent into the crystals. Many crystals have different functions. Well, I want this crystal to do one thing in particular. So you would imbue it with that energy. You would charge it with that energy, however you want to say it. There are some that says, no, you don't need to do that, because that crystal knows its purpose. And so you don't need to give it a purpose. Again, I would say it's up to the user. If you feel that you want to give it a specific intent, then do that. If you feel it doesn't matter, that it works for you, do what works for you. I have typically given it a particular intent. If I want this one to do something in particular, then that's how I will. That's what I would imbue it with. But so there are a variety of uses for crystals. I would say almost anybody can use crystals. Any path, any faith. It's just a matter of how open you are. If it's not a faith that typically might use it for something other than just collecting, I would say it's just how open are you. Kind of like divination. You don't have to be begging to use divination tools. Crystals have a lot of purposes. I think it's just important to find out what works for you, what your intent is, how you want to use them. but go slow. whatever it is. So I will do a separate video on colors, not necessarily color therapy, like I was thinking of doing a minute ago, but at least on colors, because these colors, and they also tie into the chakras, but you can almost know what that crystal will be good for based upon the color, if nothing else. Not the only thing, but that's one of the ways you can tell. So I think we'll stop for now, because I gotta get ready to pick up my daughter soon from the bus stop, because like I said, we're all sick and my husband's the last to get it, and he's laid out. Oh, yep, telling me to get my button again. So I'm gonna wrap this up, and I'm gonna say I do hope you come back and join me with this series. My intent is to get another video out this week, and going forward, my goal is hopefully 2 videos a week on crystals, if not at the very least 1. That's my goal. Life interrupts, so we'll see how that goes. But so thank you for watching, and blessed be.